star.
Christmas Sunday.
I've heard there's a little lad here called the Wolfman.
And the Gladiators finally met their match.
Time to put up or shut up. This is going to be terrific.
Vinnie Jones throws down the gauntlet.
You're not going to stick to the rules tonight, then?
Probably not.
Oh, Vinnie Jones is taking on the Wolf.
Christmas Sunday, 6:05.
Christmas Eve continues on LWT with the early evening news from ITN next.
After eating, plaque acid can increase the risk of tooth decay, but chewing Orbit or Wrigley's Extra for 20 minutes stimulates saliva, which helps nature fight plaque acid attack.
Switch on to thousands of low-priced video games with your Macro trade card. We're open all day Boxing Day, Sunday, December 26th.
I'm off to have a Thomas Cook at Mallorca.
Go, go, go!
Before you go anywhere, take a Thomas Cook at our 11% discount.
Looking for the gift that'll knock them out this Christmas? Then fly out for Disney's enchanting adventure, Peter Pan. And for everyone, everywhere. What better than Disney's classic, The Jungle Book?
Take me home, Daddy.
Peter Pan and The Jungle Book on video. Perfect Christmas presents.
So you want to know the secret of great tasting chicken?
What's that?
Well, I'll tell you.
All right.
We're talking herbs, we're talking spices, and for the famous original recipe, whipping around that roulette wheel of herbal possibility,
Yeah?
how many do you think you need for that distinctively delicious taste?
Tell me.
Well, now you know.
All right.
Today's KFC, where great value never tasted so good.
I live with the times, with progress, performance. For my skin, I've discovered continuous hydration with Plenitude Hydro Renewal.
A real breakthrough from L'Oreal. Hydro Renewal first gives an instant surge of moisture and then continuous hydration. Hydro Renewal goes beyond ordinary moisturizers.
With continuous hydration, my skin feels soft, supple, and youthful.
Continuous hydration with Hydro Renewal. Plenitude from L'Oreal challenges the signs of aging.
You know, I can still remember the very first sweets given to me by my grandfather. They were Werther's Original, and I was poor. I had a bit of trouble opening that shiny golden wrapper, but then, well, I'll never forget that first taste. Sweet and creamy and uncommonly good. I remember feeling I must be someone very special when my granddad gave me his wonderful butter candy. Well, now I'm the granddad. And what else would I give my little grandson but my Werther's Original? After all, he's someone very special, too, you know.
After breakfast, you can tidy that mess, Frankie.
Hocus pocus, alakazam, snap, crackle, pop.
Kellogg's Rice Krispies, the magic part of your nutritious breakfast.
By the power of my spoon, go tidy this room. Oh, fiddlesticks.
Kellogg's Rice Krispies, you can't imagine a livelier breakfast.
Poor old Robert. Ever since he fell out of that tree, he's been feeling down. And now, on top of everything, he's got a cold.
Trying to blow.
Yeah. Thank goodness for Night Nurse. It'll quickly soothe his cough and sore throat, relieve those awful shivers, aches and pains, and help dry his runny nose. So he can get a good night's sleep, and I get to relax. Night Nurse, intensive care for cold and flu symptoms.
When London closes, give Christmas Line a call to see what's open near you. The number to call is 071 484 8484.
You're watching London Weekend Television.
From ITN headquarters, the early evening news with John Souchet.
Hello, 3 young children left alone in a house, little food and no sign of any Christmas festivities. That's the background to the latest Home Alone case, this time at a house in Leeds. The children aged between 1 and 5 are now being cared for at a foster home. Police say the children didn't even know it was Christmas.
The 3 children were discovered by police last night at this block of flats after neighbours raised the alarm. Aged just 5, 4 and 1, they'd been left alone with little food or drink. The electricity meter was about to run out. When police knocked on the door, they were answered by a 5-year-old boy who didn't know where his father was. This afternoon, they held a whip round to buy some presents for the 3 toddlers.
They will have some sort of a Christmas. They certainly had no opportunity for a Christmas before this. The house showed no signs of Christmas decorations, no presents. It was just another dark day in their lives.
The children have been taken into care by Leeds Social Services.
They were so young, I mean the oldest being 5, the youngest being 1. On top of that, of course, there was no food in the house, there was no sign of Christmas, and they were stuffing plastic toys into an unguarded fire.
After police had searched for several hours to find the parents, the children's father arrived home, apparently confused at all the fuss, calling for social services to give him back his children.
I got back about 10 o'clock last night, and when I come back, they wasn't there, and I ring the police, and then they told me that they'd put my kids in care, and I said, any chance of having my kids back? And they said, no, you have to wait till tomorrow.
The 3 children will be spending Christmas in temporary foster care. Their father is this evening being questioned by police. Deborah Turness, ITN, Leeds.
And in the last few minutes, police in Leeds have said a man has been arrested in connection with the case. He hasn't been identified. Next, on the early evening news, the traffic builds up for the last-minute getaway. Outrage at the gang rape of 2 schoolgirls. And why John Fashanu is thanking the player he injured. Thousands of motorists took to the roads this afternoon as people made a last-minute getaway for the Christmas holiday. The motoring organisations said there were build-ups on several main roads, particularly those leading out of London. But many rail and airline passengers seem to have left early.
With most of the population taking the day off work, holiday travellers had an open road this morning. The Department of Transport managed to remove about half the nation's roadworks, easing the flow. A similar story on the railways. Here in Bristol, first thing, Temple Mead station was practically deserted. In the skies, Heathrow Airport will handle over 500,000 passengers this week. But by early today, most had already departed.
There's been a steady flow through. We were quite busy this morning, but it's now working very well. People are very cheerful and there's a good atmosphere here at Heathrow.
But getting around on the ground was more difficult in Scotland. Here in Aberdeen, the snowploughs were out in force. Despite the Christmas card scenery, a white Christmas is not unusual or particularly welcome here.
It looks nice. If you're in the house looking out.
Would you like it to be a white Christmas?
No.
Why not?
I don't like snow, don't like it cold.
Snow has already closed some roads in the north of England and Scotland. Further south, tailbacks were building up this afternoon on the major motorways out of London and in the West Midlands. A real incentive to stay at home in front of a warm fire on Christmas Eve.
And to Greg Wood now at RAC headquarters in North London. Greg, what news on the last-minute rush to get away?
Well, John, there has been a late rush. The RAC says that whereas traffic levels were about 40% below normal this morning, that's been more than made up for this afternoon. What we've had is a combination of an early rush hour and the traditional Christmas exodus. That means that here in London, for example, most of the major motorway intersections are severely congested. There's also congestion at other notorious bottlenecks like the M5-M6 intersection in the West Midlands. But so far, fortunately, no news of any major accidents.
And for those getting away tonight, what sort of weather can they look forward to?
Well, wintry showers are forecast for the east coast with sub-zero temperatures throughout the rest of the country. What that means is that snow that's already fallen will be turning to ice as temperatures fall. That means that roads in the north and in many parts of Scotland are already passable only with extreme care. So if you are on the roads tonight, the advice from the RAC is, if possible, don't travel, but if you do, please keep your distance and keep your speed down.
Some good advice. Thank you, Greg. The rape of 2 schoolgirls by a gang of teenagers in South London has been described as deeply threatening to us all by the local MP. The girls aged 14 and 15 were dragged down an alleyway near a burger bar and raped repeatedly by around 7 youths. Up to 20 others are said to have looked on cheering.
The 2 girls were about to go into McDonald's for a burger when a gang of teenage boys surrounded them. The youths dragged the girls past the pub next door and forced them down an alleyway into a car park. There, just yards from the busy street, both girls were raped repeatedly by as many as 7 boys, while about 20 others watched. Police officers investigating the case described it as a horrific attack and said the girls were being treated for shock.
Any attack of a sexual nature is bad, but on 2 young girls in circumstances that have been described, this is absolutely awful.
The local MP was shocked that the attack could have happened in the early evening in the middle of Catford shopping centre.
My reaction is the same as every other decent, civilised person. It's shock, horror, and deep anger that such a thing should happen in what is a pretty busy high street location.
The gang was comprised of up to 30 men, most of them between the ages of 16 and 20. Police are appealing for any witnesses who might help them track down the rapists. Caroline Kerr, ITN, South London.
There's been an angry reaction after the Wimbledon soccer star John Fashanu escaped punishment for a challenge which badly injured Gary Mabbutt of Spurs. Tottenham called the Football Association's decision a waste of time. But Fashanu today thanked Mabbutt for helping to clear him.
A relieved John Fashanu joined his Wimbledon teammates for a light-hearted training session this morning, having just heard that he would not have to face a charge of misconduct. A Football Association Commission of Inquiry watched this video 24 times before reaching its verdict. The man on the receiving end of the Fashanu elbow, Gary Mabbutt, suffered 7 fractures and came within a millimetre of losing his sight. But Fashanu believes it was Mabbutt's testimony that helped clear him.
Certainly, Gary helped my case. He really did. Fellow professional footballer, I wouldn't expect him to do it any otherwise. He went in there and he spoke the truth and he said it as it was, not how other people suggested it was. And I thank Gary for that. As I said, he's a mountain of a man.
John Fashanu says he won't be changing the robust style that's earned him the nickname Fash the Bash, but he hopes Gary Mabbutt will remain a friend. Despite Wimbledon's relief, this may not be the end of the elbowing incident. Gary Mabbutt still has to decide whether to take a civil action against John Fashanu. Paul Davis, ITN, Wimbledon.
The Christmas ceasefire in central Bosnia was shattered by further heavy fighting today between Muslim and Croat forces. British soldiers in the region have managed to recover an armoured troop carrier hijacked by Muslim forces yesterday, but they found it had been stripped of most of its weapons and equipment.
British soldiers in Bosnia sang about peace today during their Christmas Eve carol service, but earlier, outside their base, the war carried on. Tracers streaked around the hills as the Muslims continued their offensive, squeezing a large Croat enclave in central Bosnia. The British once again were caught in the middle. The only thing they could do was to watch at a safe distance and try to carry on as normal. Senior officers were more concerned with recovering a machine gun and mortar captured along with an armoured personnel carrier by Muslims near Gornji Vakuf yesterday.
The Bosnian commanders in the area have given strong assurances that all equipment will be returned. They've located the mortar and the machine guns. At present, they're trying to find the location of the personal equipment belonging to the soldiers who were taken yesterday.
There's been fighting and shelling, not just here, but in many other parts of Bosnia. A ceasefire, which should be in progress, has been largely ignored. But the hope is that on Christmas night, there will be some respite from the miseries of this war. Jim Buchanan, ITN, Central Bosnia.
The gunmen holding Russian teenagers hostage in a helicopter have freed most of their captives. They exchanged them for $10 million ransom from the authorities. But at least 7 people are still being held, including 4 of the teenagers.
The schoolgirls who'd been held at gunpoint in this Russian military helicopter were freed nearly 30 hours after they're kidnapped from school. Soldiers from the elite Alpha Commandos had surrounded the airport at Mineralnija Vodi, ready to storm the aircraft if the gunmen had carried out their threat to kill a hostage every 15 minutes. According to Russian television, this girl was freed along with 2 other children because the helicopter was overloaded. But the message to negotiators from the terrorists was menacingly blunt. They had suitcases packed with explosives and would blow up the other children unless a ransom demand of $10 million was met. Russia's defense minister Baivel Grachov cut short a summit meeting to fly to Moscow to personally take charge of the military operation. The Russian news agency TASS says the ransom money was handed over this afternoon about 2 p.m. British time. It's thought there are still 4 schoolboys being held on board. The terrorists say they'll be freed when they reach Azerbaijan. Officials believe the gunmen will then try to escape over the border into Iran. Adrian Britton, ITN, Moscow.
A senior Israeli army officer has been shot dead by Arab gunmen in the occupied Gaza Strip. 2 other soldiers were wounded. The troops were travelling in a jeep when they were ambushed at a busy road junction. It's thought the gunmen were members of the Islamic fundamentalist group Hamas. The tension between Arabs and Israelis was also evident in Bethlehem, where Christmas is being celebrated fully for the first time since 1986. Palestinian activists raised their flag in the town centre in defiance of the Israeli authorities. Israeli troops eventually decided to let the flag stay for Christmas at least.
Through the dark years of the Palestinian uprising, Christmas celebrations were banished from Bethlehem. This morning it was different. Arab Christians openly celebrating, blending their religion with their pride in being Palestinian. The Israeli army, still occupiers here, had said the Palestinian flag would not be allowed in the main square. And so, of course, this morning up it went in defiance. Another token gesture, another symbol of resistance to Israeli rule. They chanted for Arafat and spoke of why the flag had to be raised.
It must be here because this is peace, this Christmas, a Palestinian Christmas, and we consider the Christ as the first Palestinian martyr. So let him celebrate with us under our flag.
Christian pilgrims from around the world are coming here in larger numbers, and the economic benefits of a peace deal would be massive. For the Christian faithful, this is the spot, now inside a church, where Jesus was born. Within a few years from now, this is likely to be under the control of Palestinians, and the Israeli army will be gone. Robert Moore, ITN, Bethlehem.
Tens of thousands of people across Europe will spend Christmas in temporary shelters after the worst floods for nearly 70 years. But the floodwaters which devastated large areas of Holland, Belgium, France and Germany appear to have reached their peak.
The immediate danger seems to have passed. In Cologne, floods reached 10.63 metres, over 34 feet, 2 inches short of the record 67 years ago, the black mark on this wall. Emergency services began pumping out cellars and hope streets in the old town will be passable by Boxing Day. People who park too close to the river no doubt feel the Christmas spirit has been well and truly dampened, but not for everyone. Santa was out and about on the emergency walkways. In Bonn, the Parliament building was threatened by the waters of the Rhine. In Holland, more people had to be evacuated from their homes as large areas of the country were swamped by rivers bursting their banks. The floods across Europe have ruined Christmas for thousands of people, driven from their homes by the rising waters. They've caused so far uncounted damage to industry, communications and property. But above all, they've reminded us how vulnerable sophisticated societies are in the face of the elements. Lawrence McGinty, ITN, in Cologne.
Finally, flooding in England has meant that Christmas will be a week late this year for the people of a village in Shropshire. The only way to get to the village of Melville near Shrewsbury is by dinghy after the swollen River Severn broke its banks. The local church is also marooned, so the vicar announced today that he's postponing Christmas services for a week, by which time he hopes people can get through. The main news is that a man has been arrested in connection with the latest Home Alone case, this time in Leeds. That's the early evening news this Christmas Eve. To all our viewers, a happy Christmas. Bye-bye.
Hello, good evening. As we go into a bitterly cold Christmas Eve with a penetrating severe frost in Scotland, so do take it easy if you're out and about on the roads. No festive cheer, I'm afraid, from the weather, at least tonight, with sleet and snow showers pushing south across Scotland, and even a couple showing up in eastern England as well. So for the big day, Christmas Day tomorrow, a wet start, a good number of rainy outbreaks out to the west, even showing up as snow on the Welsh mountains. As far as the eastern side goes, here we can expect a sprinkling of wintry showers. Then during the afternoon, at least the west gets brighter, with some pleasant sunshine breaking through by the end of the day. Perfectly timed if you fancy blowing away those Christmas cobwebs and grabbing a breath of fresh air after all that food and drink. I'm afraid, though, for northern as well as eastern parts, here the wintry showers continue, and even London could see the odd light flurry by the end of the day. As you'd expect, another cold day in the offing, although less in the way of wind than we saw today, so feeling better probably. In fact, temperatures for most of us held around about 2 to 4, and in Fahrenheit that's the mid-30s. The odd favoured spot like the southwest and the Channel Islands seeing 6 or 7, or the mid-40s. As far as tomorrow night goes, a number of weather hazards, I'm afraid, including dangerous and dense fog, as well as sleet and snow showers for the east. So again, the message is take it easy. Now, on Sunday, that dense fog sticks in places, so do watch out for this. And then we'll see wintry showers, snow in the east, even more in the southeast later in the day, at least the extreme southeast. But then that tends to peter out as the day wears on, though cold temperatures and more cloud moving into the northwest. Here's the summary.
ITV's magical Christmas Eve with firm favourites, Coronation Street and The Bill, now on Friday nights.
The big movie on Christmas Eve with Anthony Hopkins,
Jeremy Irons,
Patsy Kensit,
Jenny Seagrove,
and Richard Bryce and Alan Ayckbourn's riotous comedy.
Bang goes another reason for living.
A chorus of disapproval.
He's the Peter Pan of pop, and he's telling all.
If I had 4 women throwing themselves at me, no, this is just not right.
Cliff Richard in a major South Bank Show special for ITV's Christmas Eve.
Fiona Foster and Lindsay Charlton present the Christmas Eve edition of London Tonight, next.
It's the place to be. Savings on all the world's leather, £500 of selected suites and interest-free credit. The world's greatest sale, World of Leather.
What would you say if we told you that at weekends, a 3-minute national call now costs only 10p?
Don't worry, Mummy. It's only 5 weeks till half-term.
The new reduced national weekend rate from BT.
Take 3 tales from the Big Apple by 3 renowned directors, all in one great movie, New York Stories. And enjoy New York at its finest for Woody Allen's classic, Manhattan.
What are you doing?
What am I doing? You have to ask what I'm doing. You think you're God. I gotta model myself after someone.
This is really a great city, really a knockout, you know?
Movies on for Christmas in New York.
To all of you watching LWT, we hope you're having a great Christmas.
Good evening, I'm Fiona Foster.
And I'm Lindsay Charlton. Welcome to this special edition of London Tonight, as we set the scene for Christmas and help you get in that party spirit.
And among the headlines tonight, a good news story for Christmas Eve. It's a simple family scene, but for young William Ryde, it means everything in the world. This Christmas, his daddy is home from Saddam Hussein's prison. We share some precious moments.
And there's hope tonight for another East London family. Kuda Sally, the teenager battered into a coma on the streets of Stepney, has finally regained consciousness after 3 months. More on those stories and the rest of today's news coming up.
But right through the show this evening, we're having a party. It's at the Imagination Building in Store Street, a marvellous creative centre in WC1. Normally, the 200 staff are busy designing things like the Dinosaur Gallery at the Natural History Museum or the set for Barry Manilow's new musical, Copacabana. But tonight, they welcome stars from show business and sport, and our own hosts, Karen Keating, Sonia Saul and Matthew Lorenzo. First to arrive, the cast of Forever Plaid.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. On Dasher, on Dancer, on Prancer, on Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner, on Blitzen. Ring out the bells, it's Christmas Day. Come on, we're at Imagination. Christmas time is here again. Come on, we're at Imagination.
Merry Christmas and welcome to the Imagination Building in London's West End. Pretty impressive, eh? We're here for a Christmas Eve party. And what a lineup we've got for you. As you can see, the cast of Forever Plaid here singing away in the Apollo Theatre. We've got Debbie Gibson and Shane Ritchie from Greece, a whole galaxy of cancer stars, Powerhouse Community Gospel Choir, The Chosen One, and E17. Only problem is, where's that? Oh, over there. There.
This way, girls. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Oh, St. Nicholas, he took a flight. The moon was shining bright. Ring out the bells. Oh, St. Nick was flying through the sky. You should have seen those reindeer fly.
And we'll be having more from our Christmas Eve bash later, and the Powerhouse Community Gospel Choir, which I promise you is going to be a real hand-clapping, foot-stamping experience.
So have those boots ready. Christmas is already a huge success for the high street stores, it seems. Most of them shut a few minutes ago, happy that this year the spending spree has hit record levels. Hamley's toy shop in Regent Street is still open, though, for those last-minute gifts. And our reporter Sally Arthey is there now. Sally, just how big has this Christmas been for the stores?
Well, it's been a record breaker for many of them. Some are saying they've had their best December trading since the heady days of the 80s. Oxford Street and Regent Street have been packed for most of the day. Some stores say their turnover's gone up by as much as 17%. People have been scurrying around all day for those last-minute buys.
Men are appalling, actually. They leave everything to the last minute.
What have you bought this morning?
Nothing. I'm phoning out to find out what size mothers are and aunts are.
You left it completely to the last day?
No.
That's very brave.
I know. Got to put the tree up now.
We've sold 3,000 turkeys, 20,000 bottles of champagne, 30,000 bottles of other wine.
Well, I've come in to get stuffing for the turkey.
Oh, we keep going shopping and then not buying anything.
Mainly jumpers.
What sort of things have you been buying?
Multi-gym.
Just a bit of paper, some cards.
I'm sorry,
I've got no time left at all.
Well, time is fast running out if you haven't bought everything. Hamleys is one of the handful of stores that's still open, but it's shutting its doors at 7 o'clock. It's not all been good news. Some of the smaller businesses are saying that they're having a tough time making ends meet. And one final thought, if you don't like what you get in your stocking tomorrow, many of the stores are reopening on Monday. Lindsay.
Thanks, Sally. Have a great Christmas. Fiona.
And after the crush at the shops, another great Christmas tradition, the frantic dash to catch your train. Some people never leave enough time to get on board. Stuart Maister reports on the scenes at King's Cross Station.
King's Cross Station is usually much busier than this on a Friday evening rush hour, but of course the rush tonight is to get home in time for Christmas. There's an atmosphere here that this is the end of the working year. Now the time has come to get somewhere to celebrate. It's at this time that the Christmas ritual, the dash for the train home, is practiced in London's mainline stations. Imagine if they missed that train. Try explaining that to the hungry family. Indeed, try explaining this present to anyone. This woman proves a Santa hat doesn't mean a Christmas spirit, and that was hard to find among these passengers. Because of a cancellation, BR had to combine 2 train loads onto one. This can be the most stressful part of Christmas, though some were thinking about all day tomorrow with the in-laws. For others, it was home to mum.
I'm going home to my parents in Grantham.
It should be a good laugh.
I haven't been home for 5 years.
Get out of London for a few days, yeah. It's been a while. It's been about 9 months since I've seen my mum, so get up there. She'll be pleased. She doesn't know I'm arriving today.
I'm going to the North Pole, as usual.
Pole,
yeah.
Have you got family up there?
As I usually do. Yeah, they all live up there, yeah.
But he'd better get a move on. The last intercity train leaves here for Leeds at 8:30 tonight, and then King's Cross, like the rest of us, will shut up shop for Christmas. At King's Cross, this is Stuart Maister for London Tonight.
Well, to find out how the Christmas getaway is affecting the roads, here's Fiona Farrell at Scotland Yard.
Well, I think anyone who was getting away got away last night, because it's relatively quiet on London's roads. In fact, take a look at the North Circular Road there towards Hanger Lane. When was it last like that? It's also very quiet in the city. That's Ludgate Circus there, no problems. Also in central London, Trafalgar Square, not much to do. And also take a look at the A4. That is incredibly empty. In fact, if I go to the next junction along, it's all whizzing along quite nicely, but there are still, if you look down there, some cones, but not causing any problems. There are delays there, however, I'm afraid, in the King's Cross area. Now, that's all down to a fire on King's Cross Road at the junction of Penton Rise, and it's causing delays on Grazing Road particularly. But if I go to the next junction along, I can show you that it's actually not quite as bad on Euston Road. And if I show you the Angel at Islington, taking a look at Pentonville Road, that's not being affected either. On the Underground at the moment, believe it or not, there are delays, I'm afraid, on the Victoria Line, which currently has no service between Seven Sisters and Walthamstow Central, but that's all down to a signal fault. Lindsay.
Thanks, Jan. You've been busy with the tinsel.
Of course. Well, it's Christmas. I didn't put any on my hair, though.
You told me you were going to. Thanks, Fiona. Now, Christmas is, of course, a time for families, and that's especially true tonight for Paul Ryde. Last Christmas, he was in a Baghdad jail, facing at least 5 more years behind bars. But Iraq suddenly released him 2 weeks ago, and now he's at home in Walthamstow, enjoying Christmas with his wife and young son. Christopher Peacock has this report.
It was a keepsake that meant everything as Paul Ryde began a 7-year jail sentence. He kept a keyring with a picture inside of his son, William.
Got one.
The boy was just a baby when Paul Ryde was imprisoned for illegal entry into Iraq. His freedom, won after 17 months, finds him getting to know the child he's rarely seen.
I've seen him for less than 50 hours in 18 months. And although it's no time to make a relationship, to do any type of bonding, we do seem to have a very good relationship. It only takes him a few minutes. He knows exactly who I am.
I thought about getting the pair of them a set of boxing gloves each and just disappearing out for a couple of hours.
This Christmas Eve, Paul can look forward to spending the festive season with his son and wife Julie at their home in Walthamstow. Just a year ago, life was so different. Faced with a 7-year jail sentence, he'd begged one of his prison guards to kill him.
I said to the guards, you know, just take a gun and put one through my temple.
If life was tough in jail for Paul Ryde, the road was just as hard for his wife Julie back home, who was forced to keep a lonely vigil looking after her young son and hoping against hope that one day her husband would return home. William's 2nd birthday, but Daddy isn't there. A flicker of recognition, but it's just a picture. Then suddenly, on a December day, after 17 months, comes freedom. Daddy's home.
There were definitely days when I thought I could quite easily walk out the door and not come back to face it all.
I think she did far more than anyone realises, and was certainly as pressurised, if not more so, than myself.
The worst is over now, but the future won't be easy. There's a battle for compensation looming from the Gulf Fund. Learning how to be a family again will take time. But most important, Julie, Paul and William are together again this Christmas. At Walthamstow, this is Christopher Peacock for London Tonight.
Time now for a second visit to the London Tonight Christmas party at Imagination in WC1. Great music coming up and a chat with the boys from East 17. Sonia Saul is in amongst the celebrities.
Now, all I want to do is find a seat at this table so I can sit down and have some nosh. But no, all the seats are taken, for instance, by Shane Ritchie and Debbie Gibson from the cast of Grease. Hiya.
Merry Christmas, how are you? What's happened to the crackers? These are rubbish. They don't work. Look, pull it.
I know.
Rubbish. Look, tobacco. I don't know what's going on.
Look, I'm fine. Tell me, do you get the day off for good behaviour then tomorrow?
We're actually off tomorrow and Boxing Day. So I'm spending Christmas with, I don't know if the Nolans. I'm sorry. There's going to be 84 of them, plus the Pope's going to be there as well. So that's sort of Christmas I'm going to have with
a big Christmas. And what about you, Debbie?
Well, I've got a plane to catch, actually, very, very soon. I'm going back to New York.
Oh, well, eat up. Nice to meet you. Enjoy Christmas. And onward to East 17. Ah! Boys, how's it going?
All right, pretty good, thanks.
Yeah? Tell me what you're up to.
What are we up to? At the moment, we're just having a party. No, we just come back from America, doing some stuff over there, promoting a new single over at the moment, which has just gone up to number 7. And what? Do what time? And yeah, just chilling out at the moment. Yeah, working hard, just trying to keep the single up there in the top 10 now.
All right, good for you. And Tony, it's going to be the first Christmas with the family, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to make Christmas dinner for everyone. I'm going to invite them around and make some Christmas dinner. So if you want to come, you're welcome. I know you'll come anyway.
Don't say that. When they're all on your doorstep, you'll be sorry.
They're there already.
Well, thank you very much. Enjoy dinner, enjoy Christmas party. Now time for the Blues Brothers and give me some lovin'.